Hello, I'm Darren Matthews. I'm one of the primary advisory teachers here at CLPE, and the book that I've chosen to talk to you about today is Libba. It's a picture book biography from our non-fiction section, our Key Stage 2 information book collection, and it's written by two people who are new to children's books. It's written by the singer-songwriter Laura Veirs and illustrated by Tatyana Fazlalizadeh, who is an artist and activist in America. What comes through really strongly when you read this book is their absolute passion to communicate the story of this musician. It's the story of Elizabeth Cotten, who was a folk musician, and it tells her story right from the beginning as a young girl growing up in the early part of the 20th century in the segregated southern states, the difficulties and challenges of her life, but also her hope and her perseverance as she teaches herself to play a guitar that she has to borrow from her brother, and because it's her brother's and she is left-handed and her brother is right-handed, she has to turn this guitar upside down and play it back to front without restringing it. And what could be a challenge, could be a hurdle to be overcome, instead creates a whole new way of playing the guitar, a very unique piece of musicianship. Unfortunately, because of many difficulties that she needs to overcome and because of the political and social world that she's living in at the time, the guitar doesn't stay a part of her life for very long and she has to give that up. Many, many years go by, beautifully depicted in an illustration by Tatyana in the middle of the book, and we jump to 50 years later when luck on the one hand and a real perseverance and strength from Elizabeth on the other hand combine to give her the opportunity to venture into musicianship again and to allow her musical voice to be heard around the world. One of the reasons we chose to use Libba for our Planning the Curriculum around a Text course in Year 3 and 4 this year was both the quality of the language and the quality of the illustration. It's a non-fiction text, but Laura Veirs has done an amazing job of balancing a lyrical, poetic quality to the language, beautiful figurative language, alongside telling a true non-fiction story. And in fact uses two voices in it. The main part of the text is written in that very lyrical style, and in the back of the book we get a more traditional biography that allows Laura to expand on some of the further details of Elizabeth Cotten's life. And then alongside that language you've got, as I say, this tremendous, breathtaking illustrative style, a real gentle graphite quality, finely illustrated. We can see all these details in Libba and in her world, but at the same time there is a real layer of metaphor and subtext to the illustrations as well. The guitar as image is obviously really strong throughout. We know that Elizabeth Cotten was passionate about the guitar. We know that it was that passion for music and the guitar that kept her going, and that is echoed in the book. We can see it both under the dust jacket of the book. The publishers have arranged a beautiful inlaid image of the guitar strings on the cover. On the end papers we can see her unusual method for playing the guitar. And then time and time again we see the guitar featured, and every time we do, we see how central it is to Elizabeth's life. All the empty space on here, what is important in this girl's world? It's her and her guitar, and we see really strongly her relationship with the guitar. When she catches sight of the guitar through the doorway into her brother's room, what's important in this illustration? We're seeing from her point of view over her shoulder to the only other bit of colour in the whole illustration, that guitar sitting there. The whole subtext is inferred all the way through. The guitar and the music is what is important to her. And as I say, she comes through so strongly as well from these earlier illustrations of her as a young girl, but then being able to track through what stays with her throughout her entire life. And we see that portrait echoed later on. We know she's still thinking those same thoughts, she's still got those same passions, even though half a century might have gone by. As I said, we chose this book this year for our Planning the Curriculum around a Text programme for Year 3 and 4, and it was an absolute joy to create teaching resources for, because that passion that the author and the illustrator feel comes through so strongly in the text, and it's infectious. When you read it, when you talk about it, you pick up on that passion yourself. And in fact, it's possible to go so deep with it that it was almost the teaching resources grew, and at some point you have to stop. But that's because there is so much to talk about in this book. As you can probably tell, that passion has certainly been picked up by me, and I hope you get the chance to read Elizabeth Cotten's story, and then having read it, go off and find out some of her legacy for yourself. There is so much music out there to discover, and this provides a beautiful doorway to do exactly that.